reminding me. All right, so we're defining the problem, and the problem really began with the last legislative session, and Scott's very much aware of it because he was facing some of the same issues in the school district. And that is that we have to add reading classes. We wanted to stay true to what we had agreed to with our students, so we didn't want to raise the cost for them to finish and take our program. And we also wanted to stay with the same number of courses. So to do that, we've had to do a little bit of shifting around. What you're going to see, we've agreed that we would have this done by January of 2021. And that's our mission. That's why we are combining reading courses. We are putting the endorsement for 1 and 2 together, and we're going to be putting 3 and 4 together, and 3 and 4 will be a new course. We've got some ideas to name this course, but we don't know until we get it all approved. There is quite an approval process through HCC, and of course the school district needs to accept our credits, and so it'll have to go through the school district, and the third one, of course, is the state of Florida. And so it's much more of a process and a procedure than what you can imagine. We also, at the college level, have our own procedure there. And Dr. A, do you want to talk a little bit about that, of what we need to do to make this all work at the HCC level?
What do you mean to make them at HCC level? With the things we have to do at the college?
Yes.
So we have to change a little bit the courses, not only the content, but the way they're put in the system. We didn't want to increase the number of credits. We're still debating about it. So it has to go through an academic affairs process to be vetted as a program valid in the school. And we're doing that. But first we need to, again, the approval from the state, which you have been working on. And now the redoing of the courses, which some of you are gonna be helping us with that. And in the meantime, we're going through the process, the internal process for the college.
So we thank you for all your help because it's new to us. We've never had to do that since the beginning of our program, which was in 2005. Now, having said that, I'm going to now shift a little bit and talk about how our students and how you as our faculty have shifted to being an online program. We have not been an online program in the past. We have been a hybrid, and so therefore we did use Canvas. But now, of course, we are all online. Some of our students have just loved it. They have just come back, and Jamie really gets the huge amount of messages from our students and this sort of thing. And others are just in between. And of course, then you have those that are speaking to us about it. And I want to talk to you about some of the things that they have said. We've had a couple students that have dropped the program because they said they had agreed to a program that was face-to-face. They believe in face-to-face, and they just don't want to go any farther. Now, I have also said to Jamie that whenever we come across something like this, I want to have a conversation with them, and I want to talk to them a little bit about it. If you're teaching in the school district, you're going to have to know technology. You're going to have to build it. So I think it's very logical that we would build in a piece that would bring the technology to the teacher, the person who is beginning to be a teacher. The other complaints that I would say we would have, and Jamie just jumped right in here, is basically communication. They really appreciate your feedback. I have to tell you, every word you say to them is gold, it seems like. And if you don't talk to them, they think they've somehow or another, they construe it to mean, well, I must not have been good, or I must have done something wrong. And so these are the conversations that, I don't like to hear, because I know that you do communicate with them, but they're not hearing you. And I guess it's that personalization. Jamie, do you want to add to that?
Yes, I would say at this time, be especially mindful about checking your HCC and Canvas for any messages from students, and also to remind them to check their HCC email, because with EPI, we do use their personal email for a lot of communication. And in this case, they would be needing to check their HCC email on a regular basis.
So thank you. Now, we also have had students who have come to us and said, you can't believe how wonderful this is. I just love it. And this instructor is doing a phenomenal job. And I don't know how they're doing it. And they're just praising you. And so we have a lot of praise as well. And, you know, we have a tendency to focus on the negative. But I want to tell you, you are doing a phenomenal job. And you've made it through this transition in warp speed, I have to tell you. But I am going to pick on 3 people here. And the first one is the person who's been with me the longest, Dawn Kaufman. And so, Dawn, I'd like for you to just tell us, you know, what are you doing that your students just think that you're absolutely phenomenal, and that's in a tough course, diversity.
Well, I had to unmute. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I try to just keep it like I would if I was on the ground with them. So I use Zoom, and you're able through Zoom to have breakout rooms, and then you can join those breakout rooms and see what everybody's doing. So like if I give them a topic to discuss in small group, because we do a lot of small group discussion in diversity because of the topics that we do talk about. And so they're able to break off into their groups and then come back. I give them a time limit, and then we close out the break room and come back. And then they each group has to report, you know, on whatever it is we're talking about that evening. I incorporate a few short, very short, one no more than 3 to 4 minute videos here and there. I've used, thanks to Lori Bradner, I use Padlet, and I'm using Perusall in my next class, and I use Flipgrid, which is a little program where because online I can only go with them for about 2 hours before, you know, their kids are crawling all over them, the dog's barking, the husband wants dinner, and so we go 2 hours, and then to supplement the time, I have videos and articles and things that I want them to read, and then I create a Flipgrid question regarding the content of those articles and or videos, and I post it, and then they go to Flipgrid. They just click on it, and they can make a I put a time limit on it of 2 minutes, and they give me a response, and then they can respond to each other that way as well, instead of having to you know, write everything down. It's a little more interactive that way. I had made you know, we're in Zoom now, and I'm not the host of this meeting. Scott is, and he can show you where the breakout session thing is, where you can assign them rooms, and you can do it manually, you know, where you just click on them, and it is, you know, you can assign them to a room, or it'll do it for you automatically. And then I wrote it all down because they pretty much stay in their groups throughout the term. And then when I log in next time, there they are, and they continue to work as a group. But again, I just try to, you know, I tell them, they give me 2 hours of engagement, and then they can do the rest, you know, because why would you waste, you know, 15, 20 minutes of their time showing a video or something that you wanted to talk about, when they should do that on their own time, not when you have them face to face. But I did, when I logged in last time, I had my sound off and my video off, but they were logging in and talking among themselves. And most of my cohort this time, there's 17 of them, and most of them are already working. And they were just complaining and complaining and complaining about they're online all day. And this is new for them, you know? And so they're staring at the screen, which is something that, you know, it's even bothering me. I can't stand that constant focus on the screen, the email, the text messages, and all that coming in all day long. So it's a little different stress for them. And then they have to go log in a class and try to be, you know, present for me. So I try to make it as light and fun as I can while covering the content. And there's just different ways to do that. And like I said, Dr. Bradner was with me for a term, and she's really knowledgeable about all these little gadgets that we can use. And so I've incorporated Padlet and Perusall and Flipgrid and those kinds of things. But the breakout rooms in Zoom are great to have those small group discussions, and then you make them accountable by having to come back and then present their groups, you know, main points or whatever there. so when Dr. Radliff asked me to say something, I thought, I'm not doing anything probably anybody else isn't doing, but our topic is just maybe a little lighter, more interesting, more to, I don't know, more to talk about in diversity because of all the issues we have today, and culturally relevant teaching and all of that stuff that's, we're spending so much time in districts training on, and equity and equality, all that. So I've had success with it. No one's complained about it, but I do make them not, they can't put their name up like, Dr. Ratliff's name's up and Bradley's name, because I don't know if they're there or not if they do that. So they have to be present. They have to show their face so that I know. But even during class, the baby's crawling on them, the dog is, so you just have to be a little flexible. But I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot. And it all depends on each cohort. I know Dr. Brandner was with me when I had a cohort with about 6 people in it. It was like pulling teeth to have a conversation, where this cohort has 17. So they're very active and they talk a lot. And so we get a lot done, but I don't waste their time. We get right down to it, and they appreciate that. And then I give them supplemental things to do between our class meetings, and they seem to enjoy that. So that's my spiel.
All right. Well, let's take maybe 3 questions, and we'll let Dawn have a chance to respond to them. So do we have a first question? No questions? Oh, Dawn, you got off easy.
Dawn, I have a question.
Okay.
So when you were first initially, you had the first class session, and then we had spring break, then HCC had its spring break, or was it HCC and the school district at the same time?
They were the same time.
Okay, so
Were they the same time?
I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out when you started. The difference between spring and summer is I think spring had that first face-to-face session, and then went
I had one session
online
with them.
Yeah.
So you got your intro, your meet the teacher, your expectations, all of that. Then you went on break, and then you came onto the online part. So they at least had that relationship kind of with you. So I'm trying. My question is going into summer. So I'm teaching in 3 weeks. I don't have Canvas access yet to my shell, so I'm starting to spin, starting to freak out a little bit, trying to figure out how to make my course, which is a face-to-face course. It is designed to be face-to-face. Get up, move around. What does that look like in putting it together so that they can do breakouts, not just through Zoom, but like legit flip it and then bring it in kind of breakouts? What does that look like possibly compared to I have a first class where I get to set those expectations, meet my students, set those ground rules, and then kind of go? I'm trying to figure out what that might look like.
You would do that in your first session with them.
But I wouldn't want to take 4 hours or 3.5 hours
you would have
do.
to start that first session because this isn't the first time I've taught online, but this is the first time with HCC. So it's you take that first session to do all those things you would have done had you had them on the ground that first time.
Okay, I think I'm looking at it. I understand. Our course, Arlene and I have taught the hybrid version. Deb just got done teaching it. So we're online and face-to-face. We do a little bit of both. So it's not, I'm just trying to think through that beginning piece and what that really looks like, and trying to figure out what you had done with your group, but you met with them that first class. So I think that gives you an advantage.
Yeah, but I have 2 coming up here shortly that I won't. So I'm going to do the same thing I would do the first night. Same exact thing.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I can help respond to that though, Kim. We took our largely face-to-face ACP program district and threw the entire thing online the first day after spring break.
Okay.
We'll have several reading trainers, one of whom their first session doing Reading Comp 1 was the Saturday after spring break.
Okay.
And they largely adapted some of the things they were doing, but I told them I'd be flexible on time. So like Dawn said, you're not going to sit there for 4 hours with them on an online session and do that kind of thing. But they've been very flexible with it. If you have questions, just shoot me an email. We started 7 classes that Saturday.
Okay.
I spend half my day on Zoom just visiting classes instead of going to ISC or something like that. But I can get them in touch to give you some pointers and things they may have done that help them, because
Okay.
I understand that. I've got another class coming up in a couple weeks too. One of mine ends this week, the other one ends next week, and then I've got one more that starts 2 weeks later. But I get that not meeting.
Right.
And that's the fun professional foundations class. It only meets twice anyway. So
Well, I'm trying to think about it because the pedagogy behind an online isn't that much different, but at the same time, the aspects kind of are. So it's a little bit more flipped where you might give them a video of teachers teaching and then have them critique it, but the scaffold looks different than it would be if it were face-to-face. So I'm just trying to process all of it.
Yeah, I'll be honest, two things to kind of help you. My most technologically scared trainer, and Shannon, you know Tony Corbett, he was fearful of training online. And at lunch the first day, he called me and said, "This is awesome." Like, I'm not expecting that of this guy. I mean, he's just used to being a face-to-face trainer. But one of my other trainers in our class, we normally do certain things in a certain order, like it's an 8-week class, so kind of like your reading class is long.
Right.
And she said she flipped things around and went and addressed later topics earlier because she knew the teachers were going to need them going into this online learning themselves. So they've made some adjustments that way as well. And I've given them a lot of latitude as long as they're still covering the content, addressing the FEEPs and things like that.
The FEEPs are still addressed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's kind of like that big puzzle where you got to figure out all of it to then bring it back down.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, then Scott, we're going to turn to you. It's your turn.
Oh, goody. So I have the unique perspective right now that I'm teaching 2 simultaneous classes. I've got the teaching and learning process on Thursday nights that meets 6 times. We did meet that first time before spring break. And I have the professional foundations that meets only twice. We met the Wednesday before spring break, and it's largely the same group of people. So I've got them Wednesday and Thursday. And so we finish up this week with the one group, teaching and learning, and next week in professional foundations. And I'll echo a lot of what Dawn said about how you set things up, but I'm going to add a little bit of my own piece to it. I went into that first class the week before spring break, and I looked at them. I said, "Guys, I don't think we're ever meeting again live. Get prepared. This is how it's going to be. And this is my plan, and this is what I'm going to do. And if we are lucky and this thing is not as bad as everybody thinks it is, and we come back and meet again, that'll be great. But here's how things are going to happen." And I don't know how many of your classes have presentations in them, but teaching and learning, they each have to present on a theorist. And so they've all done them digitally. They've all done them via Zoom, and believe it or not, doing a fantastic job. So I think really a couple things that Dawn echoed earlier was about the time piece of not keeping them. So normally their presentations, we're doing like 4 a night right now to try and get done, because I try to give them more time for prep. That's taking almost 2 hours. We're taking a short break, and I'm coming back and filling it with like 45 minutes worth of stuff, and then we're done, because they're not going to sit online as long as they would. I've also started a little bit later than the 6 o'clock we normally start. I'm starting at 6:30 most nights, just to give them some time to eat dinner before they come into the online forum. And because some of them, their computer may not be in a place they want to eat. It's not our classrooms. And I think what Marianne echoed earlier was the constant communication, I think, is really important. And that got behind me at first because I forgot about the second class to email them. I emailed the one class and not the other one. But then I got back to them a couple of days later. So I think that constant communication is really important. Sending them the link out early. I prefer the Zoom platform. I have played with Teams. As Brad said earlier, it does have some powerful features to it. But what Zoom does for you right now, I don't know what kind of computer you're on, but I can have 49 people on a screen with me. I can actually put 49 people on one screen and see all of them. And so none of our classes are that big. My 2 each have 13 in them. So they can easily see them all. Dawn said, cameras on. I want to see what you're doing. You know, if you have to step away, I understand that. If your kid comes in, I understand that. We've got the cat feature in our Thursday night class. All of our cats come to visit at various times throughout the evening. It's just a riot to watch them pop in the screen. So it's being flexible. Dawn said those things as well. And it's also giving them some credit where credit is due. When it came to their presentations, I normally put a whole lot more weight on the live presentation than the lesson plan. But because they're having to do it on Zoom and it's not comfortable to them, they're just learning this process, I've been a little bit more lenient on that and a little more weighty on their lesson plan than I would have been if I'd done the class normally, that kind of piece. Shannon asked me a question. I'll say it out loud. If you guys go into your settings on Zoom, running the app, you can actually go into settings any way you do that before or even during a chat. And one of the menus, it lets you do 49. Let me find it for you real quick. It's on, oh, it's on the video button. So when you're in setting, I can share this with you guys. You can see it. Hang on. That's the even cooler thing about Zoom is, you know, you can look at my screen and see how busy it is. And so what I did was I came here on next to the video button. This, by the way, how many of you are really familiar with Zoom? Really familiar? Okay. So if you're not, real quick, these two buttons over here are all about you. It's only your controls. It's your computer, your device. But this little up arrow caret here gives me a menu for video settings. And when I go in there, I get this menu, and I've got right here display up to 49 participants in gallery view. And so you've got to be in gallery view, which is what I'm in right now. Some of you might be in speaker view, which is this annoying thing that I cannot stand. I love gallery view. I can see everybody at one time. And even in those classes when I had 265 people, I've got like 10 screens of people, but I can keep swiping left and right and see those different screens and what's going on there.
On the breakout room.
Yep, that's where I was going next. So you have to first enable this. So there's two things to Zoom you got to know if you're going to use it properly. There's the website settings, and there's the in-app settings. And Brad and I were talking about one of these in the background, the in-app setting. So first thing you got to do is you got to go to zoom.us, and you have to change your settings there for certain things. There are certain things you have to change on the website. Say it again, Herbert.
Open up your screen. You just got it in.
Well, you're looking at what you guys are seeing right now. You're looking at me. I'm going to show you breakout rooms in a minute. Oh, you want to see what that looks like on the website?
No. So can you hit the square on the right to just open up so we can see the whole?
Oh, you want me to do this thing? Yes, Herbert?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Sorry, I don't do that very often.
I have seasoned eyes, so you young folk have better vision than the old man.
This is a 27-inch iMac, Herbert, so it's kind of, I can have a lot going on at one time. But first thing you have to do is go to zoom.us. You have to go on the website. You have to log in your account. You have to click on settings. And when you click on settings on zoom.us, there's a button there to turn on breakout rooms. It's about 2/3 of the way down on in-meeting advanced. And you have to actually turn breakout rooms on. By the way, you can turn on closed captioning too, but that's a useless feature unless you got somebody who can type as fast as you can talk, which I don't know anybody do that as fast as I talk. I just can't do it. But that's a neat feature as well. But when you do breakout rooms, you pull up this piece right here. And I warn teachers all the time because I've shown this feature so many times. When I pull this up, notice it gives me a window and it says assign 19 participants into 3 breakout rooms. I can put you into 4 breakout rooms, 5 breakout rooms, 6 breakout rooms, however many I want. And it does either automatic or manually. In automatic, it just throws you guys into breakout rooms randomly. And that's fine if you're doing it with adults and you don't care. Unfortunately, with students, you do this with kids, you throw kids in a breakout room, there's no adult, and they can do whatever they want. They can turn off their mics, turn on their mics, turn off their cameras. They can share stuff. They can do anything they want. So we definitely show this feature in our training so people are aware of it. If I go to manually, let me show you what it looks like. Normally, it brings up this window here. And see, I can put people in whatever room I want. So I can click on breakout room 1, assign. I'm going to put Alex, Arlene, Brad, and Craig in there. And then breakout room 2, assign. I'm going to put Dawn and Debbie and Elsa and Herbert in there. Breakout room 3 is going to be Joanne, Jamie, Karen, and Kim. And then I go to breakout room 4, Lori and Lori together, Marianne and Melanie. And then breakout room 5 would be Michael, Sean, and Shannon. Then all I do is click on open breakout rooms. If I do that right now, you guys are going to leave me, so I'm not going to do it yet. But if you want me to demo it, it's very simple and quick. The neat thing about being the host with breakout rooms is you can pop in between all the rooms. And you can send a broadcast message to everybody at the same time. Some folks like to set up their breakout rooms ahead of time. I'm going to tell you that because if the name the person uses is not identical to what they put in when they come in, it'll mess up your preset of breakout rooms. So I don't use that feature. I don't know if you do that, Dawn, but I don't set the names ahead of time. I do it once I get in here. So if you want to see what it looks like, I'll go ahead and click that. And you guys can go in the breakout room for 2 minutes and I'll bring it back. And you can say hello. And as you guys say, I can pop in any breakout room I want. So unfortunately, I can't see what's going on in the other ones, but I'm not in there.
Can you,
And here I am in your breakout room.
we can't get any sound.
I hear you.
You hear me, nobody else can.
Interesting. Debbie's got herself muted. I don't have control over it. Herbert can't hear you either. Interesting. You can hear? Okay, we can't hear you though. And Debbie, you're muted. And there's Elsa.
See that it's not working, you can always
Yeah.
pull it back, because that's what's so nice and unique about the breakout sessions. You know, you can bring them back. So
Is that just like a button on your host side that just says?
Yeah, I'll show you when we
Yeah.
get back.
Oh, thanks, Scott. Thanks.
yep,
In fact, I'm going to broadcast a message right now that you're coming back now.
God,
And
you
then
taught
when
us
you get-
well. So I was just giving you perks.
Yep, that's true. Return to
Very
main session.
good.
Oh, I get to go. Yay.
Yeah, that's a neat feature. I like that, Scott.
Yeah. So when you guys were in there, I have a button. It says open all rooms here, but when you guys were in there, I had this same window and it says here close all breakout rooms. And that's how I brought you all back at one time. Over here on the left, it's got a broadcast button. So you can, like, if you had 6 or 7 breakout rooms, you can broadcast them all. You have 3 minutes, you have 2 minutes, you have 1 minute. So it's a really
Right.
cool feature to be able to do that and pull them in and back. One more thing, just so you guys are aware, they brought a new feature in about 2 weeks ago, the security button down here at the bottom, and they put all of the common features on there that you want to be able to control, such as locking your meeting if you don't want Zoom bombers out there. We've had so many cases across Florida of old men going on and exposing themselves to students. Yeah, disgusting. You can turn on, turn off the waiting room, which we're telling teachers to do, leave the waiting room on, because that way you can screen who comes into your actual meeting. And then, of course, you can turn on or off what they can share. And this is a big feature right here. Did you guys know you can run on the screen right now if you wanted to? Go to the top of your screen, click where it says View Options next to that green bar that says you're sharing Scott Richmond's screen, and go down to Annotate. And you guys can draw a mustache on yourself if you want.
Okay.
So you can annotate on this screen, and for example, I can draw myself and put a smiley there, and somebody else is drawing on me too. Thank you very much. But anyway, the neat thing about this feature is that if kids or students can't handle it, I can come here and go to annotate on shared content and click that, and now they can't do it. It's turned off automatically. And then I can
Scott, can you tell who annotated on you?
Unfortunately, no. That is the one bad feature about it, and that's where I've been teaching classroom management. There is a feature where you can do that. I can tell it to show names of annotators, but unfortunately, it shows it while you're writing. So go ahead, somebody write right now, and it'll show you while you're writing. It'll show you your name, and then once someone else takes over, it becomes somebody else. So you see, Melanie's got it written there, and then the second someone else writes, it changes the name. Unfortunately, it only shows the active person. So just some neat features. And then that's also in security, along with people rename themselves and chat and sharing screen. The whiteboard's a really cool feature. Have you guys played with the whiteboard yet? Some of you have, some of you haven't. The virtual whiteboard is a plethora of things you can do, where you can do the same thing. You can write on the whiteboard. You can put stamps and stickers. There's just so many neat things here. And I like some of the features of Teams that Brad was talking about with security, but I do so much stuff with the school district that I find that students have a hard enough time logging in to anything, let alone logging into Office 365. So the whiteboard's kind of cool. You can save it as well. You can also clear it out at any time. But again, I don't know who's drawing or what, so that's a big problem with it. So.
You have been a wealth of information, and I mean, you're going to be having a few phone calls after this.
I told you I've done nothing for the last 5 weeks but train Zoom. They found that I've been using Zoom for like 4 years. I really have.
This has been very informative.
I had a free account for like 2 years with a 40-minute time limit, and then luckily my other employer is Florida Southern College, and about a year and a half ago they gave me the pro version of Zoom, so I have no time limits. I can put 300 people in a meeting. I have polls I can do as well, which polling is kind of a neat feature you can do. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do.
Well, it's been so helpful, and I know your phone is going to ring and your email is going to be filled and all this kind of stuff. Well, I've got to admit that I missed somebody in introductions, and that's Michael Sawyer. Michael Sawyer, are you around?
He was driving earlier. He sent me a message. Are you back, Michael?
He was the one on the iPhone.
Yeah, I renamed him.
He was in our breakout room. He said his mic is not on.
Okay. All righty. Let me check and maybe we can turn it on here. I can turn it on for somebody, can't I, Brad?
I would think so. Anybody?
He says his audio is off.
Turn that on.
Oh, his mic is on.
Yeah, he's saying his audio is off.
Okay.
It might be his connection.
Okay. All righty. Well, Michael Sawyer. Sean, do you want to introduce him for himself? Because I know the two of you work together.
Yeah, sure. Mike actually was the one who asked me to come interview for the position. I guess that was last year. He works with technology at Wharton High School. He's one of my favorite, my son's favorite teachers. He taught different technology classes, all the Microsoft Office classes as well. And he runs the website. He basically anything technology that needs to be done at our school site. Sawyer's the guy. So he also has he runs the technology and clubs for kids also, and does different competitions where they go. And my son was part of that too, where they went to Orlando for a competition. So yeah, in terms of his teaching stuff at the college level, I'm not sure how long he's been working with you, Marianne.
Well, he's been working with me, for I'd say maybe 6 months or something like that, but he's one of my newer people. Yeah. What kind of clubs is he running, Sean?
He'd be able to, TSA is one of them, I think, and FBLA maybe, or an offshoot FBLA. I know TSA was the one that my son was involved with, but there's other, I think those are the primary ones that he's involved with. I know the TSA one is the one he went to. I mean, I could go, my son's here, I go ask him, find out which one he went to the competition with in Orlando. But yeah, I'm not sure if he's involved in a lot, so. And he has like 10 preps. I mean, I don't even know how he does it. It's like, obviously not 10, but he has a different prep for every different class he teaches, though, because he's very, very popular. A lot of kids want to be in his classes.
Well, someone else amongst us their child has had him in a class too, and that's Dr. Anzalone. And I think, Dr. A, you've had a lot of good things to say about Mr. Sawyer.
Oh, my son loves him. My son has never tried to go into computers, and he's taking only AP courses. He's a great student, and he has made him excited about programming, and he's very excited doing HTML, and he loves it.
Yep.
He has a fine reputation. All right, our last presenter is going to be Lori Bradner, and Lori, how about taking it away?
All right. I want to say thank you. I am certainly would add to the expertise that we heard. Fortunately, being a teacher, Dr. Richmond being a teacher in Hillsborough County Public Schools, fortunately I had used Zoom before, but quickly became a Zoom expert because I spend, like Dr. Coffin, spend a lot of time on it with my students. One of the things the only thing I would add to you is that it's a wonderful platform to interact. I am an old dead actress many, many years ago and about 100 pounds ago. And so for me, this is television and I love it. So I love this format. And I try to, one of the things I want to address, I was one of those teachers. I think, Kimberly, you mentioned this. I had not met my students. I was a brand new teacher. So basically what I did, I took everything that I knew from my own instructional strategies, the things that I would use as icebreakers in my own classes. I've taught elementary all the way to high school. I also was a doctoral chair for 6 doctoral students for National Louis University. And I took those icebreakers and I made them digital. And I figured out a way to do it, from Hollywood Squares to the Brady Bunch, you name it. And I have over 23 students. So we had actually the very first lesson. I think one of the things that the only thing I could add would be, and I think, Scott, you touched on this, making sure that the students are very focused, that they know, they're paying money for this, and I want to make sure that it's a value for them, that this is of value and that they're going to learn something and gain something. I've done that via the multimedia. So not only Zoom, but using, like Dr. Coffin, the Flipgrid, the Nearpod, using the Padlets, using those things so that, and the way that I integrated it was to tell them these are things that they're going to use with their students in the classroom because their students are going to be technologically savvy. So I found that giving them the flexibility, doing everything that Scott said regarding their time, like Dr. Coffin, I have to tell you, like Dawn, I make sure that I can see them, touch them. When the cats make their presence known and the dogs and the kids, you know, we're all human. We stop and awe and we ooh and we ah, and isn't that awesome? And I think that it makes it more human. I have also gone one step farther, again, to add value. And the only thing I think that I'm doing differently than any of the others, or maybe just, again, just to add another layer, is to use, I'm very familiar with Nepris, which is an industry chat. I'm also had the benefit of working with Florida STEM Connect, which for teachers, that's a way to break down the walls of the classroom. And so guest speakers via this type of, this technology it just works. And I had a student of mine for diversity that grew up as, he was known as Stump Boy. He was born without arms, without legs. And he actually joined us for one of the classes, went through the process to get him approved. He had been written up in the newspaper. He is now a graduate of Florida Polytech. He graduated in computer science. Very interesting, given the fact he has no fingers. He has literally flippers that he uses. And I think that once the students knew that I was, you know, again, what my objectives were, the agenda is always up. I know, Scott, you showed this, the share screen. This works very, very well for any kind of video you want to show, like Dr. Coffin said, anything that you want to do as far as a PowerPoint, you know, if you want to share something quickly, but I keep it moving. I think that's most important. We honor their time, keep it moving, give them, use the breakout rooms, make sure that they're interacting with you. It's not, and I will tell you, I actually feel the feedback from my students is that they have to do the heavy lifting for me. They're doing the heavy lifting. I'm making them think, especially for diversity, as we expand. And really this goes into the UDL. All of us know UDL. All of us know that as far as a pedagogy. And this is really lends itself well. I found that it lends itself well to diversity. It lends itself well to really talking about how do we accommodate. I think that's really what I do. The feedback I have received thus far has been positive, unless Jamie knows otherwise, please let me know, I'll fix it, especially because I'm new. But I really have, and I think if you show that we enjoy it, that I enjoy it, that I have fun with them, that I'm engaged with them, that I'm 100% present when they're on, that I am listening and I am here. The other thing I will tell you is my particular cohort has a Facebook group, and I asked them about that. I asked them about the social media. So I'm meeting them where they're at. So when I put announcements, because they're saying a lot of times they're not checking, when I have an announcement or a change, or if I need something, I need them, remind them, I will use their Facebook group. And a lot of them, even down to, I've had several with some of the assignments where I told them I would meet with them one-on-one and we would have phone conversations. And they responded very well to that as well. You know, they were happy with that. So again, I think it's, when you look at it, it's a matter of those clear goals, being transparent, you know, really fueling conversations, using the breakout rooms to fuel the conversations, and then using the multimedia graphics, using the audio, enhancing in any way you possibly can. To keep it interesting and exciting. And again, like Scott and Dawn both said, honoring their time. When the speakers were on, I will tell you, their questions were remarkable, phenomenal. And the class ran long. And I just would honor their time. If someone needed to go, please I understand. You know, it's bedtime for the babies. Put your daughter to bed. Go read her the book. So really, I enjoy this.
Yes, read her the book.
Yes, exactly. I am absolutely. I have enjoyed this, and I've enjoyed the challenge of taking all of those things that I use in the classroom with my own students and figuring out a way, how can I digitize it? Let me digitize it. And if you want to flip classroom, Flipgrid is awesome. It's great. So how do I digitize it? How do I make it exciting? We've done activities. They've done pictures. They can share their screen. I had them draw. You know, that was one of the icebreakers we did. So those are just some of the ideas. And I guess that's it.
Well, Laura, you're sure a great addition, and
well, thank you.
Our faculty, and you've got so many ideas. You're such an exciting person. Whenever you come into our office, our staff always says, "Oh, there's Laura," you know, and because you're so vivacious.
Thank you.
All right, let's open it up for some questions. Anybody have a question, either of Scott or Dawn or Lori?
May I just say one thing I just wanted to offer? I took time to create cheat sheets for Nearpod, Padlet. I created cheat sheets even for Microsoft Teams. I did some cheat sheets. They're things that you can, for Excel, I've done cheat sheets for PowerPoint, broken them into basic, you know, intermediate and advanced, depending on where you're at. And those are things that I have access to that, you know, I've got on my computer. I sent a few of them to Dr. Ratliff. So they may be things, even if you don't want to use them, just thumbnails that you could use. Scott, I'd love to have you look at them and then you can change them and fix them. Because, you know, but, you know, they're just some things that I use in the class.
Bad.
In your spare time, Scott. Look at them in your spare time, man.
I need some more stuff to do. You know, I'm so tied up with mowing the lawn and pressure washing the back porch and taking the hot tub at 4 o'clock every day.
I know all our homes must be amazing. All of us, we should be.
My yard's looking great. Are you kidding? My yard is fantastic.
I think my big fear, I have a question that my big thing is we are the most FEEPs in reading. It's a tremendous amount, and I can't go willy-nilly changing things around because the platform that I'm using and the orientation that I'm using is different. So though I appreciate all of your suggestions, I will take them into consideration, but I can't change too much because the FEEP is the FEEP. So I'm looking forward to seeing and hearing what Sean and Lori are bringing in to the new reading program in the classes. But Dr. Mariotti has really spent a lot of time moving this class, our class, into in the hybrid section. At least we had a lot of it digitized. Unfortunately, because I had to leave school and I can't go back to school, and all of my stuff is at school, thinking I was coming back to school before I had to go to work, if you followed that whole train.
I did.
And all I have is a hard copy. Jamie tried to put the resource packet online, but it's too big. So it's all in hard copy. We don't even have it digitized, and we can't just scan all the pages to say here, refer to. So, but I appreciate all of your information. I'm looking forward to finding out about Wakelet too, Lori. Yeah, thanks for that one. But yeah, I don't even know if I had a question there.
This is Julian. I just wanted to say something, Lori. When you said when animals come into the picture, you address them because we're all human. We had our professional development meeting and there were 16 students, and one of them has a pet pig, which she shared.
Juliette the pig. Yeah, she was adorable.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
A lot of surprises.
Wow. Dawn has her puppy.
Any questions or thoughts?
Maybe.
That was a lot of
I'll give you one comment, Marianne, just because in case of fear and all that, because I've been doing this with teachers for a month now. You're going to have some speed bumps and potholes and roadblocks along the way, and I've had some folks get kicked out of meetings. In fact, I had a trainer on Saturday kicked out of her own meeting. Her internet went out, power went out, all that fun stuff. And she texted me frantically, and I ran upstairs. I was covered in dirt from doing my yard, and just quickly got on her class and said, "Guys, you can't see me right now. I hid my video." but she'll be back in a moment. And she was. And you're going to have those things happen, unfortunately. But technology can be great and also be a challenge. But it can definitely connect you. And I think that's the most important thing that comes out of all of this. I think you heard from all three of us. And even in some of your questions, the same thing came up, connections with the students. And that's the most important thing. We continue to connect with them and make them feel like we're in a classroom together, not necessarily spread apart.
Yeah. And the other point there, I think that piggybacks on that, is the fact that they say, don't make me teach myself. And I've heard this a couple of times, and it bothers me because of the fact that you are the expert. You have the experience. You've got experience a mile deep, but they're not feeling they're hearing your experience. And so that's important too. So share it, because they need to know what the picture of the classroom really is like these days. And we don't know what it's going to look like when we come back. Any other questions or comments?
I'd just like to say something really quick, if I may.
Sure.
I want to welcome everybody that's new, because I know what that was like when I started, and sometimes you feel like you don't know what to do. That's great, Lori, exactly. Sometimes you feel just like that, and do know that we are all very friendly. We are all very approachable. I know that when I first started, Debbie Mills immediately handed me the book. She's like, we don't really use it, but here it is, please. I've marked up things and everything. So just know that we're all very friendly. We're all very willing to help you along the way. Anything that you need, just reach out to us. Our emails are available. We're always available to help you through a tough time, because I know that, okay, go teach. And I was like, all right, what do I do? And then I was waiting, like you were saying, Kim, for the shell. And the shell came, and it was just that. It's a shell. There's nothing in there. So you need to reach out to the person that taught it before you. And hopefully we're working on that so everybody can have what we need, at the moment that we start the teaching. But if you need anything, please don't hesitate. I mean, I volunteer myself to reach out and help with anything. And I know that Scott does too.
Hey, I am not nice at all. I put my number in the chat in case you want to text me. But I'm not nice. I'm not.
Yes, you are, Scott.
I'm full of, you know what?
He's from the dark side.
See, behind me? Oh, I got a better one. Oh, come on.
You keep changing those backgrounds and cracking me up over here.
Here we go. There you go.
There you go.
Dr. Ratliff, you had said comment. Those of us who have been teaching face-to-face for a while, I've taught at St. Leo and it's been exclusive online. The online learner is a very different person than the face-to-face person. And so as one of the best things about HCC is that the students aren't your average, if you will, college student. So the compassion that you approach them with, the tolerance, in some cases, the giving them almost too many chances, it feels like sometimes, because you've given them 15 and now we're on 16 chances to try to get it done. That online learner, the one who's going from face-to-face to shifting to online, might need 20, and they might chances and attempts. At least it's been my experience. They need direct, explicit instructions, sequential instructions given multiple times in multiple ways. They need the visuals and the audios. The online platform does not take all learning styles into consideration. So those of us who are also shifting to an online, if we're used to that face-to-face piece, we're gonna need to find, I agree with Karen, we have to find and reach out who we can meet with and talk with to kind of get our learning style kind of assisted. But just know that the online learner isn't by choice right now. And sometimes that's a tough gig or pill to swallow. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there to everybody.
That's very true. And we're finding it even within our own staff, our own office. We're finding it. Some people, wow, we found skills that they had, we didn't know they had. And then there are others that, well, show me first. I've just got to see it one more time. And it's very true of all of us. We all have our own code system, or whatever you want to call it, our own levels of learning and the way we learn, but I understand that. Anybody else have a comment or thought that you want to share?
Mary Ann, I think it's important that we always remember that our students are already accomplished learners. And we need to remind them of that right up front, that we have recognition that they're accomplished learners already, and that we're just going to take their prior knowledge and add more education knowledge to that. And they really appreciate that, not feeling like they're back in college 101.
That is so important of a point you're making there, because they are not that 18, 19-year-old that's just figuring out who they are themselves. They are figuring out at a much later age, and they bring so many skills. You get to know the story of that individual, and boy, you hear a whole different thing, and you realize what they're bringing to the classroom is something a little different too. And our principals love hiring them, is what I'm finding. I would have seen them come back and say, oh, Marianne, this was such a mature, such a wonderful teacher now. And they may not have been at 19, but they are now because they've had a host of experiences. Good point. Thank you for saying that. Anyone else?
And if you guys look in the chat, Lori shared the Padlet cheat sheet. It looks like this. So it's in the chat feature right now. You should be able to download it. Just double click on it there. You should be able to download it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, they're very
Lori, I also have one that's a cheat sheet for the scholars to join, a step-by-step that I can get to you as well.
It'd be great.
Screenshot it.
And I'll share them with everybody. If you send them to me, then I'll make sure they get out to everybody.
And if anybody wants to have quick lessons on Zoom when we're done, Marianne, I'll stay for a few minutes.
Okay, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, Jamie, I'm going to ask you to kind of wrap this up. Do you want to tell them what we have in mind for the last little thing here?
I've made a Survey Monkey just to get a feel for how you were all feeling about teaching online and the meeting today and that sort of thing. So I'm going to post that in the chat right now. And if you could just please go fill that out.
And then before we take off, I did want to kind of plug HCC's got some amazing professional developments. So if you can go to those, they're awesome.
Do you have any final thoughts, Dr. Anzalone, that you want to add?
No, and when you were talking about our students for this program, you have to remember this program it would have been considered a technical certificate or an advanced certificate. You're talking with people with already at least a bachelor's degree. And they're different. They're all older, they're all wiser, they all have had another professional life in many cases. And they're trying to retool themselves into being teachers for our kids in high school or middle school or elementary. So it's very important what you do and the way you approach them and recognizing them, as you were saying, Craig. I loved what you say. And you know, I really thank you for your time doing this for us, because, you know, this is a jewel for HCC. Personally, I love it. You know, when I had the opportunity of taking over EPI under AS in the campus, I just jumped to it because I see the value of this program. And I really thank you for without you, it wouldn't happen. So thank you so much.
And we thank you for your support. You've been wonderful to us. Just wonderful. I thank every one of you for being here tonight. I mean, you've taken a piece of your life, you've given it to us again. And, you know, just know that we're here to help you be the best that you can be. And so thank you. And please do that little Survey Monkey for us. We need that to help us improve. Thanks again. Good night.
Good night.
And if you guys are done, just click Leave Meeting in the bottom right. If you need the link, you can't copy and paste it, but you can highlight it, right-click on it, and go to Services. It'll let you open the URL. So highlight the link, right-click on it, and go to Services.
Where's the link, Scott? Where is the link?
It's in the chat.
Okay.
Marianne, do we have any idea when we're going to get the Canvas shells for the summer class?
Jamie, do you want to address that? We try as fast as we can to get them to you.
I have the information entered in the system for the shells, so it's up to, I have no idea. That's OIT's department.
Dr. Ray, there's an inconsistency between or among the time frame from classes to classes. So I know some people that get the class shell 5 weeks in advance, and other people never get it before 2 weeks before the class starts. And there's a big inconsistency.
Some people get it that far in advance. It's not to my knowledge.
So is there anything that Dr. Mariotti usually gets it 4 or more before she starts?
I publish it 2 weeks in advance of the start, so I know I have it at least 3 to 4 weeks before the class.
How do you manage to get it, Arlene?
Pardon?
How do you get the shell early?
They just send it to me. I have no idea, but it might be my face because, you know, maybe they like my face. I don't know.
I'm just saying, because I mean, that's a big indiscrepancy. That's a big difference in time when you're trying to put something.
You know, certainly, Alex, with everybody having to make the courses now totally online, it's labor intensive, and so people need to have them a little sooner than a week before.
Okay, I'll talk with our academic computing people to make sure that happens.
Thank you.
So thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or thoughts?
Yes, I have a comment, and I appreciate everybody talking about Zoom. I'd like to talk about some things that I have done that are outside of the Zooming thing. First of all, I've turned my PowerPoints into narrated PowerPoints, and so they can get, I used to have also transcripts, but I haven't had time to make transcripts of those narrated PowerPoints, and I try to keep them under 20 minutes, and so at least they get the auditory and they have the visual in front of them. It's not the same as a 3-hour class, but at least it has some explanation that I'm giving them. I also have made all our rubrics, including the FEEP sheet, digital. And so now we can go online and just mark them and then send them to the adults in our class, because they're all digital now. And I did that through Developer on Word. And I had to develop or find some videos, and Scott mentioned that you can show them on your on the chat. He said that you could show them on your PowerPoints. Yes, you can also just send them to them. You can actually put them into Canvas, all those things. And so as many ways as we can. We talk about learning styles, so let's speak the language, walk the talk, so to speak. If we believe that everybody needs to have these different ways of learning, then we need to provide them. And so I Zoom too, but I have to say to you that most of my time is spent either with the PowerPoints, narrated PowerPoints, or giving them these videos or sample lesson plans, or doing lots and lots and lots of feedback for the students.
Thank you, Arlene. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, then let's close it down for this evening. I thank you once again, and please survey thoughts and let me hear from you about what you thought about tonight, and if we need another meeting like this, when you would like it, and so forth. So thanks once again. Good night, you all.